What happens when you write a song about someone who isn't there and then they suddenly appear? In 1975, Pink Floyd were recording a tribute to their lost founder, Syd Barrett, but the session ended in total stunned silence because of a visitor no one recognized. This is the heavy heart of Wish You Were Here. By the mid-70s, Pink Floyd was the biggest band in the world, but they felt empty. They were in Abbey Road Studio 3, struggling to connect with each other. Roger Waters realized the entire album was about absence, the distance between the band members and the mental absence of their original leader, Syd Barrett, who had spiraled into mental illness years before. They wanted to write a song that felt like a hug to a friend who had completely disappeared from reality. The song starts with one of the most famous acoustic riffs ever, but look at how it's recorded.
So you think you could tell?
David Gilmour didn't want it to sound perfect. He recorded the intro on a 12-string guitar to sound like it was coming out of a cheap car radio. He even included the sound of a person coughing and sniffing at the beginning. It was meant to feel like a lonely listener at home, playing along to the radio in a cold room. It was the sound of someone trying to bridge the gap between their world and someone else's. On June 5, 1975, while they were finishing the mix for the album, a strange man walked into the studio. He was overweight, his head and eyebrows were completely shaved, and he was carrying a plastic bag. He stood in the back of the room, brushing his teeth while the band worked. For nearly an hour, no one knew who he was. Suddenly, Richard Wright looked closer and realized it was Syd. The man they were singing about had appeared, but he was so unrecognizable that his own best friends didn't know him. The reunion was heartbreaking. Syd was confused, distant, and eventually just wandered away. Roger Waters and David Gilmour were reportedly reduced to tears. When they went back to listen to the track Wish You Were Here, the lyrics How I Wish You Were Here suddenly became too real. The absence wasn't a metaphor anymore, it was standing right in front of them. The atmosphere in the studio turned so heavy that the band physically couldn't continue working. They sat in the dim light, listening to the playback in total grief-stricken silence. Wish You Were Here is often called a secular hymn. It's a song for anyone who has ever lost someone to distance, time, or a mind that isn't there anymore. It wasn't just a recording, it was the final emotional goodbye to the man who started it all.
We're just two lost souls swimming